some little video and you'll see what's happening right now in UK. So this video was, the dates are important, August 7.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
And then after that, we had something else. A few days ago, a policewoman came to tell this to the people. If you think you're going to get away with these events, we're coming for you. We have hours of footage.
What I would say to those people who think they've got away with being involved in the disorder on Tuesday or on Saturday, you absolutely haven't got away with it. We are coming for you. We've got hours of social media footage. We've got hours of CCTV footage. I've got officers working round the clock to identify who you are, where you live, where you work. We are coming for you. We'll be coming for you for the next few days. We'll be coming for you for the next few months. So you might get to next week. You might be sitting with a cup of tea thinking, phew, I've got away with it. Please let me reassure you, you haven't got away with it. We are coming for you. You will feel the full force of the law. I want to reassure the communities that we are absolutely able to cope with what's going on. We have got 8 PSUs here in Merseyside today. So what do I mean by a PSU? Each PSU has 1 inspector, 3 sergeants, 81 officers. That gives you the scale of the number of officers that we've got here able to respond, being supported by colleagues from across the Northwest. So yes, we are equipped. Are the officers who are getting injured having an impact? Yes, it is, but we absolutely have sufficient resources to cope.
So, hello, James. How are you?
Hello, Daniel. How are you doing?
Fine. What's happening right now in Great Britain, or should I call it now the small Britain? For us, it's a shame. And we'll talk about censorship, immigration. We have many things, but is it real? Is it a fake news? What's happening? Because some people told me, oh, there's nothing much there. Nothing's happening. Although we saw, many things like that. The new articles, the Labour Party, it seems to be real news, this one. Labour Party, tech giants will be forced to ban fake news under Labour plans, and following, a kind of riot example, August 5th, armed Muslim patrol, not police, members surrounded and attacked a pub after marching around the area looking for white ring winners to attack. The rumor far-right protest never materialized, but they were there. I won't play the video because I don't want you to have problem, and so on. So can you explain to us first about the riots? Are they real or not? Is it over? Are there still some riots?
Yeah, I think to put things into context first, I'll start with what's happened over the last sort of month in the UK. So, and I've written them down here. So I'm just going to, so I get the time of the sort of sequence of events right. So around 3-4 weeks ago, we saw riots in Leeds, which is in the north of London. It was from the Roma community. And what happened is social services had gone in and removed some children from a Roma family because they were concerned about their welfare. Huge riots there, a burning of a bus, looting, all sorts of stuff. And so that was sort of 3-4 weeks ago. Then after that, we saw riots in the East End of London from the Bangladeshi community, which was linked actually to events going on in Bangladesh. It was actually Bangladeshi gangs fighting each other, but it turned into a huge, great riot. Now, the reason I point to them, well, it'll become clear in a minute. So we've had 2 riots there, nothing to do with the far right or nothing to do with immigration. When I say the far right, that's what they're talking about. But essentially, I think that's a bit of a red herring. But anyway, we'll get onto that in a moment. So those 2 riots took place. Then on the, I think it was around the 29th of July, we had an absolutely horrific event happen in Southport. 3 young girls died. They were aged 6, 7, and 9. They were stabbed to death. 8 other young girls were also stabbed, and 2 adults either. But those poor 3 young girls ended up dying from their wounds. Now, what happened after that is rumors and speculation online that it was an immigrant that had come here by the boats, that they were being watched by MI6, and that sparked a protest in Southport, which turned then into some pretty ugly riots over that evening. Then we had a speech by Keir Starmer, or Keir Starlin, as we're calling him now, the Prime Minister of the UK, fairly new Prime Minister. And he inflamed the whole situation. People came out on the streets because they were genuinely concerned about what was going on in this country. We're seeing stabbing after stabbing. This has been going on for a long, long time now. And basically what he did is he got up and he said, we're going to protect these Muslim communities, because one of the things that happened in that Southport riot is people started attacking a mosque because they thought it was a Muslim that did that.
Just a question or a note. I noticed when it happened, as usual, one of the problem, the authorities didn't let the name of the guy. So yes,
yeah. I mean, the thing is with that, Daniel. I mean, look. Even if it had been an immigrant that had come here by a boat, that's not a reason to riot, is it? So
exactly.
Yeah, and look, speculation online is always going to happen, and people are going to get it wrong sometime. The woman who was one of the first to post the information, she took it from a media company on Telegram, and she reposted it, and she said, if this is true, however, she's been arrested for spreading misinformation. So it's all kind of gone down quite a dark avenue, really, in terms of free speech. And, the Prime Minister did inflame the whole situation, because he hasn't once talked about underlying anger and concerns amongst millions of Brits about mass immigration, because let's be honest, that is what is sort of driving the anger. It doesn't justify the violence. Naturally,
it's a cumulative things, since many years. Even in Canada, we're seeing it. In France, Ireland now, and other countries, we're seeing the mass immigration effect, and with the accomplice of the government who doesn't care at all about the local population. And I think it's like the tips of the iceberg, that the sad event that happened with the 3 little girls was like, it was too enough now, too much.
Exactly. And I think if Keir Starmer had come out and said, look, this is disgraceful, we can't have this. We are aware that people are angry about mass immigration, but we need to cool the temperature. We need to protect all communities in the UK. If he had come out and said that following the Southport riots, I think further trouble would have been put off. But he didn't do that. He came out on the side of basically the Muslim community, which has enraged people. That's what led to further riots, because we do have this thing in the UK, and I'm sure you've got it in Canada, where we get a 2-tier policing, essentially, where grooming gangs for years now in the UK. I think there's 140,000 young girls in the UK which have been affected by this, essentially raped and sexually abused by grooming gangs, mainly of Pakistani from the Pakistani community, and it's been covered up for years now. And all of this has come out in official reports. So there is a feeling across the country that there is a different style of policing for Muslim communities versus white working class. And so when Sir Keir Starmer came out and approached the whole and all of his messaging on that, it just reinforced anger that was already there. And the fact also that the government has not even talked once yet about real genuine concerns. And when you look at the polls, so there was a YouGov poll here in the UK last week that was published. 51% of people that responded to that poll said that immigration was their number one concern. And it goes across the political spectrum as well, right from Labour to Lib Dems to Conservatives and Reform. So it's not just a pocket of UK people that are concerned about it. It is widespread now.
This is a problem there. So, of course, they're calling everyone as a racist, white supremacist, far-right extremist. So, giving these names always, each day, well, people doesn't fit at all in that. And it's a kind of attack to the people to tell them, well, stay calm, don't talk. And we're taking charge of everything, but it's not the case. But by treating all these people, working class people, normal people, as far-right extremists, and most of them doesn't even know what it means. This is the problem. We're seeing that, of course, in United States, Canada, France, in fact, it's in the Western world.
Trudeau. I mean, look at the trucker protests. Trudeau calling them all sorts of names, wasn't he? But I mean, that's really riled people up, being called far right, because the thing is, in the UK, they're trying to make out that this huge movement of the far right, which is absolute nonsense. Of course, there is a far right, but it is absolutely tiny. And one of the interesting things that happened last Wednesday, is the media started hyping a list of planned riots in the UK, apparently being organised by the far right. There were 100 on this list. And, you know, they scared the bejesus out of communities across the UK. Councils were putting out messages saying, don't come out, don't go into the town centre. And then nobody showed up because the lists actually were false. It was a big hoax in the first place. And, you know, there's a lot of people suspecting actually this was the government that put out the list in the first place, hyped it up, and then basically claimed sort of responsibility for putting out those riots, saying that the rioters wouldn't dare come out now because of Sir Keir Starmer's action. Absolute nonsense, all of it. So there's a lot of shenanigans going on behind the scenes as well, just as you saw in Canada with Trudeau and the truckers.
Of course, we're seeing on the things. It's not a surprise, but now going on social networks, there's this in London, radical Islamist women promoting Sharia law, supporting Sharia law in Western countries should lead to an automatic deportation. This is a movement I'm seeing right now about the deportation, the massive deportation, and even yesterday, where Elon Musk and Trump and other people talked about it. Do you sense there's a movement like that also in the UK?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to overblow it. You know, the Muslim community in the UK is still a minority. It's around 5 to 6%. Some say it's a little bit higher because of illegals coming here. But it is still a minority. And I think, you know, it's actually there are pockets in the UK where this is a real problem, particularly in northern cities in England. But look, just like the riots, I mean, it's gone all around the world, and there's people from different countries thinking, oh my God, what is happening to the UK? But actually, when you look at it and the number of people involved, it was actually fairly small. It was just a handful of cities, 3 or 4 cities where it actually turned into riots. The number of people involved actually relatively small. So the whole thing has been blown out of proportion. And the government, I think, is doing that, and the media are doing that, because now obviously we get the response from the government, which is where things are going, which is an attack on free speech.
Yeah, they're using that. And when I saw this, just a meme right now. Let's see it running on the internet. What's the emergency? someone is telling the truth on X, and with the, of course, the Britain flag. But this one, and I checked that, it was a real news. Maybe, I don't know if you saw it, but what are your thoughts about it? And I will tell you what people answer to that. UK police commissioner threatens to extradite jail US citizens over online posts. Will come after you. So it's a direct menace from someone in Britain to American people. I can let you guess what was the answer of American citizen about this.
Well, Elon Musk has been quite clear, I think, on all of this. I mean, look, Thierry Breton, who's the EU commissioner looking after the Digital Services Act, he's written a letter to Elon Musk warning him, again, this is not the first letter, warning him about material on X and also his own behavior. Well, Musk sent a meme back to him saying, take a step back and go, and I'm not going to say the word, but it begins with F, your face. So Elon Musk doesn't seem to care. And I think, look, it is a bit ridiculous, I think, that the chief Met police officer in London saying that the UK could extradite people from America just for saying things online. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. And of course, you know, we've got lots of people arrested now. There's about 1,000 people have been arrested in the UK, and they've got fast track courts and stuff. But a lot of people are being prosecuted for the violence, and I think that's right. We can't have people going and burning down communities and rioting. But also people being, sentenced to sort of 20 months, 30 months for just literally saying things, not necessarily, calling people to go and riot, but actually just saying things, which I guess in normal society, you might say are unpleasant there. But we shouldn't be putting people in jail for saying hurty words on the internet.
Yeah, and this is exactly what they're doing. And I saw this video. You can confirm me it's true or not. You're the expert. So this offense is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Britain is the new North Korea, and let's see what happened.
Went on to say that you did not want your money going to immigrants who, quote, rape our kids and get priority, end quote. This offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment. Went on to say that you did not want...
Yeah.
20 months for that. And we saw rapists and other pedophiles having much less than that.
Yeah, and the thing is, Daniel, look, people that went out and committed the violence, I've got no problems with those being prosecuted because, as I said, we cannot have people rioting no matter how angry they are about this. It's just not helpful, right? But the thing that makes people particularly angry is, the riots in Leeds, which was amongst the Roma community, the Bangladeshi riots in East End London, nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, the week before Southport, we had an attack in Manchester Airport where 3 young men broke the nose of a female officer. They attacked armed police officers in the airport. There was a whole video on this. They were let go on bail. They're still walking free now, even though that evidence is out there. So this is why people are really angry. And of course, I think the thing that is really at the heart of this is mass immigration, which is absolutely overwhelming cities in the UK, and the government refuses to talk about it. It's like they're using almost like what's going on now just to close the whole conversation, right? We've done it now. Those far-right thugs up and down the country, we silenced them, we're putting them in jail. That's it, job done. No conversation.
But now we're talking about citizens just putting like, I don't want to give money, my public money to the migrants. It's a hate crime.
Exactly.
It's totalitarianism, no?
Yeah, it's very, very scary. And there's reports in the papers today. I think you posted me a link to one of them. The government is now going to revisit the Online Safety Act, which was passed by the former government very, very recently. I think they're going to try and make it illegal for disinformation to be spread online. But of course, you know, who gets to decide what is true
That was a
and what
question of
isn't? And
one
this,
of my favorite. Yeah, who's in charge to evaluate that? What is misinformation? On what basis can they say what is truth or lies? That will be, of course, same thing in Canada, United States, and in United States. The good thing is, they have a differentiation, separation of powers. So Biden could not do that, cannot do that. But here in Canada, it's different. In Great Britain too, and of course, and also one of the answer about we will extradite. We'll get on you in United States. It will be let's see what the Second Amendment is for. You see, there will be a resistance in the United States, but of course, other places, who's in charge, who will decide what's true or not. That's the problem. And even you, TNT News, that doing news, they could decide. It's bad what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very, very real threat, and we're very, very aware of that at TNT, where I work. Obviously, I'm the host of the Freeman Report for anybody out there who wants to watch in. Yeah, it is a very scary direction of travel we're going in. And look, Daniel, people like me that have been doing this for a while and are aware of what's going on in the world, you know, the WHO, the WEF, all of that kind of stuff. And we know what their agenda is. I think the next big thing, which we're starting to see rolled out at the moment, is digital ID. We're expecting central bank digital currencies to follow. And all of this is about surveillance of everything that you do, monitoring what you spend your money on, controlling it as well with programmable money, and just basically all of our freedoms and rights being eroded away. So what I think the UK government is doing now, it's in its honeymoon period, it's only been in power for a matter of weeks, is preparing for those future fights, because it knows that there's going to be millions of people that will come out onto the streets to protest against that. So what I think it is doing now is it's tightening up the laws around online speech so that it can cancel people like me that are warning the public about the dangers of the directions, these policies, these globalist policies. So that's what I think is going on. I think they're preparing, changing the laws and tightening things up so they're prepared for that fight when it comes, because we don't want digital ID. We do not want digital money.
Yeah, and George Orwell was British, no? And I think some governments took that as a receipt to implement something, not a warning. Even another, you're talking about, you see, this guy, I don't know if you saw this.
Richard Dawkins, yeah.
Yeah, my entire Facebook account has been deleted, seemingly no reason given, because I tweeted that genetically male boxers, such as Imam Khalif, XY, on dispute, should not fight women in Olympics. I agree with him, by the way. And you saw, of course, all the controversy about this in the Olympics. But now we're shutting him down, and that would be for other, like a bird flu in October or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is Facebook, so this isn't the British government which has censored Richard Dawkins. We've known for a long time that Facebook is an absolute cesspit of censorship. So it doesn't surprise me. But yes, again, it is another bit of evidence of the way Western society is going. The UK, Canada, Australia, with their e-safety office, you know, in America, I think is going to follow, because the danger for America, actually, they've got their Second Amendment. However, with the EU and their Digital Services Act, what they're essentially doing is policing the whole internet for the whole world, for Americans as well, because, you know, for platforms like X, it's impossible for them to apply different laws for each country. It just doesn't work. It won't work. It's too difficult to do. So what actually happens when, you know, if the EU can bully Elon Musk into tightening things up and restricting free speech is that affects all of us around the world. So it is very, very worrying, I think, the direction of travel, particularly, you know, because we know what's coming down the road. And this is the thing, you know, when the lights go out, that's when the bad stuff happens. And free speech is about warning people of the dangers of certain paths. And once they stop people like me being able to warn other people, we're in real trouble, I think.
Thank you very much for your word directly from London. You're staying in London or near or directly in London?
I've got a picture of London in the background. I'm actually broadcasting from near Cardiff, which is in Wales. But I
Okay.
thought your viewers would probably recognise London scenes better.
That's a beautiful view. And I'll let you the last word, like what you could say to all our Canadians follower, and well, what do you want?
Yeah. So look, we're all part of the same community, a global community, freedom lovers. It's really, really important that Canadians keep abreast of what's going on in the UK, in the EU, just as I frequently have, and I've had you, Daniel, obviously on my show many times. I've had lots of Canadians on the show talking about it. We need to keep check of what's going on in each other's countries and talk about it. So it's really great what you're doing, Daniel, here, because you're warning Canadians. Because this, like I said, this isn't isolated to the UK. This is something that's coming to Canada, although you've already had a big taste of this with Trudeau, but it's going to get worse, just like it is in other countries. So please, please, please do watch what's going on and take heed, and join in the conversation. Help us push back against this tyranny.
Hey, thank you very much, James. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for all my
Daniel.
subscriber, and we'll talk each other. And we have I think we'll have a big fight coming. It's not over yet.
It's definitely not. But thank you, Daniel.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
So, alors, c'était James Freeman de TNT News. Et cette entrevue, évidemment, on va prendre l'extrait